It is the 4-minute offense, powered by Storcade Media. Donnell Bennett and Kimble Anders. We may not have Donnell Bennett with us today, but we have quite a former Chiefs party today. Kimble, brother, how's it going, man? We are able to welcome some really cool guests here, man, because we're talking about Marty Schottenheimer and kind of paying tribute to the life and legacy of Coach Schottenheimer. Kimble Anders, man, here you are. Here it is. We've got a couple pretty cool guests with us today, my man.
That's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see some of the fellas. I ain't seen them in a long time. See my buddy over there, Marcus Allen, and see Big Book over there. So he part-time offensive guy as well. He got the one touchdown in his career, so we give him a little credit. So I'm glad to have you guys on here today, man. Appreciate y'all from coming.
Kimble, it's an honor, man, but I was just kind of disturbed that footage.
I know.
So I never thought you got caught, my man. I know you
hey, Cuddy,
a little bit there.
I look back, instead of looking at the prompt, and I tripped, man. We got to find another footage. That's what I was saying. I've been saying that for about 2 weeks now. We got to find something else. There's something else out there, Cuddy.
that was late in his career. That was like 10 years into the career, to be fair, Kimble.
Well, yeah, but still don't look good.
No, I'm only joking, though. You know I love playing with you, man. You know that, man. So awesome. I have great admiration for you. It's great to be on with you too.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that. I just want to say it's a pleasure being here, man, and it's been a pleasure playing with both of you guys. You know, when I was in Kansas City, it was a great time being there.
Thanks, Vaughn. We appreciated your skill too and the effort that you brought every single week. We knew we could count on you. That's for sure.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot to me.
Absolutely. We're kind of here. This is a special edition, a special show here for us on 4-Minute Offense with Kimble Anders and Donnell Bennett. Sadly, Donnell couldn't join us today. He'll be on future shows, but we're here because tomorrow, Thursday, September 23rd, Marty Schottenheimer would have turned 78 years old, but sadly, we lost him on February 8th of this year. 21 years ago, we lost Derek Thomas on the exact same day. Clint and I were lucky enough to make a film. We got several of Marty's former players together, kind of share their well wishes and memories and what he meant to them. And we got to present that to him. We reached out to his wife, Pat, and we were able to go down to North Carolina and present the film to him at his home. And we wanted to share a little bit of that, the trailer with you, as well as kind of Marty's reaction after he saw the film. So let me share that with you real quick, and then we'll come right back. So that right there was a little bit of the film that we were able to present to Marty. And man, it just meant so much to him. And for us to be able to tell him thank you, because he laid the foundation. He brought winning football back to Kansas City when it had gone dormant there after the Hank Stram era. And we want to say thank you to all of you guys, because you guys really laid the foundation for the art today with Holmes and winning Super Bowl 54, getting to Super Bowl 55. And what this organization has become. Thank you to you guys. Thank you to Marty. And that's why we're here. He means so much to us and why we're in sports media today. And I know he meant a lot to you guys as well. And Marcus, if you want to take it from there and just kind of say some memories of Marty and what he meant to you.
Well, I love playing for Marty. I remember during my process of, searching out teams to play for after I left the Raiders and stuff, Marty called me every single day. And then, he would one day he'd call me and told me how much he wanted me. The next day he told me he had Joe Montana. Then the next time he called me, he said, guess what? We're going from artificial turf to grass. I mean, he just had one nugget after another and stuff. But, playing for Marty was, it was a true honor. I mean, we can all talk about the person and how great he was, and as an inspirational coach and a guy who really was passionate about what he did, and who I felt obviously was one of the great coaches that have ever coached a game. And unfortunately, just during the playoffs, it never really happened for him. When it wasn't his fault, obviously there was missed field goals and things of that nature that prevented them from going, him from going forward and playing in a game that he, I think, deserved to play in. But just, a guy who left no stone unturned. I mean, he did everything a coach could do to prepare his team and stuff. And I think the other part, and I think Vaughn and Kimble can attest to this, and Steve, that he allowed the players really to sort of, as much as he was the coach, he let the players run the team. You know, I mean, he understood the value of leadership, and he depended on certain guys to, as much as he motivated, he really sort of let the guys who were leaders on the team, really sort of push the the envelope, if you will, as far as discipline and things of that nature. I remember Marty gave me a lot of authority. I remember one time practice wasn't going well the way I thought it was going. I said, we need to start this period over. And Marty said, start it over. And so I think he understood. Yeah, I think we were doing 9 on 7 or something like that, and it wasn't going very well. And I was going like, dude, we're gonna get our butts kicked, man. So when I said start over, Marty just said, hey, start it over. And so he gave us a lot of leeway and involved us in a lot of the decision making and stuff like that. And I just think he was a great coach, and I loved him as a person and a coach, and I was very, very sad to hear that Marty passed, and it caught me off guard, and obviously I wasn't available to be in that film, but I certainly would have taken the opportunity to say some wonderful words to Marty while he was alive, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Yeah, Vaughn, just kind of from a defensive perspective, Marcus and Kimble are, part of this great backfield, and there's guys that kind of come in and out during that time. But, Marty, he was a guy that liked to have his hand in it and everything, and he was a perfectionist, if you will. But he was a defensive player. He was a linebacker. He played, for the Buffalo Bills, and he was a hard-nosed player. Just from a defensive perspective, on what was it like playing for Marty kind of during that time, and kind of the battles you had with some of these offensive guys and some of these tough practices.
Well, for me, it was just a pleasure to be a player under Coach Marty Schottenheimer. When I first got there from Canada, I remember my first conversation with him. He just said, all I need for you is just do what you always been doing and give me all that you have. And I promised him that I would do that. And Marty was the kind of guy that you could go to and talk to, whether it's about football or about life. And that's one of the things I really loved about Marty. He was a guy, he was a personable person, He believed in family, and he made me feel like I was part of a family. And that was something that I really took heed to. I loved playing for the Chiefs. I loved Arrowhead. I loved Kansas City. And it was really the first time I felt like I had a real big family other than my own personal family. And it was just great to play for him. He was always available, regardless of whatever you wanted to talk about.
We've added Tony Richardson here, guys. Tony, you're with Marcus Allen, Vaughn Booker, Kimble Anders. How you doing, man?
Oh, there you go. Hey, how you guys doing?
How's it going, T-Rich?
Hey, so I had to dig a guy up. So I brought Nick Lowery to the show. So
Here we go.
So you never know if you're going to run into in New York City. So
right. What's up, Nick?
I can see Marcus. I see Kimble because all his teeth are really white.
There you go.
And Vaughn Booker's over there.
What's up, Donnell? How are you guys doing?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, we're having dinner with Roger Clemens here, but I would never miss the opportunity to honor the best coach I ever had, Marty Schottenheimer.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for jumping on. We've kind of heard Marcus's perspective coming in, and Vaughn's perspective from the defense. Kimble and Tony, I guess just kind of like talk about Kimble, what it was like when Marcus came in 1993, trying to revamping the running game, trying to turning it more into a West Coast offense. And you're kind of being, more part of the forefront, but you got Marcus Allen, one of the, greats of all time coming in, and just sort of what that was like and how Marty approached that at the time. And also Paul Hackett, the offensive coordinator.
Well, it definitely was a great experience bringing in some veteran guys that's been in the lead, and we just getting to the point where we're trying to get the program going in the right direction. And it was a big plus for us to have somebody like a veteran like Marcus Allen there. I think I was in my 3rd or 4th year during that time, and T. Rich and them, they was pretty young. So to be in that room with a special group of guys like that and having the coaching staff we had and the West Coast offense kind of fit everything we was doing. And one thing I enjoy about Marty, the way he presented himself, the way he was the leader, he make you feel so important that you were able to do a lot of different things. Some of the things that you couldn't believe you would do, even on the football field, you got to accomplish those things. And he had a lot of energy. So used to love the way he used to just motivate us, and he was just that leader that you just go, unknown. It was unbelievable to have an opportunity to play with him, have a coach with him, actually, have him as a head coach.
Yeah, first T. Rich and then Nick Lowery, if you guys kind of want to go back to back here. Just talk about Marty. You guys played other places, but talk about just Marty as a head coach, especially your guys is here in Kansas City, what he meant to you and what you took away from some of his teachings.
We might have lost T. Rich and Nick Lowery. It's very possible that just took place.
It's in New York City. They're taking up all the signal there. So,
you hear me?
Well,
oh,
guys,
there we go.
let me. Okay, T. Rich is with you. Go right ahead, T.
Oh yeah. So I think for me coming in really as a undrafted free agent from Dallas, and having someone like Marcus to really mentor you and to really show you the ropes. That's the biggest thing. Is Cuddy told us, like, me and Donnell, we were knuckleheads, and obviously Kimble was a veteran, but he was telling us, he was like, look, guys, you need to learn every position. You need to know what everyone's doing. He took us under his wing, and for me, I was in awe. I mean, I'm like, man, I can't believe I get a chance to block, for Marcus Allen. But when it goes to Marty reminds me so much of my dad. My dad's a military man, and as long as he told you what he expected of you, as long as you did what you were supposed to do, then you were great. Now, if you didn't, then he was going to jump your butt, and that's what I always appreciated. But, I wouldn't be in the league as long as I did if it wasn't for Marcus and if it wasn't for Coach Schottenheimer, Marty.
We got Steve Bono, who's finished his 18th hole there, hopefully with a birdie. And we so appreciate you getting on, Steve. Yeah, we of course, we were talking about losing Marty here back in February, and you played for the Chiefs for 3 years under Marty Schottenheimer. Steve, just kind of anything you want to add, any stories, anything, what it was like to play quarterback under Marty, especially taking over for the great Joe Montana, who retired after '94.
Yeah, I all those what everybody said is I echo. I would just say, just passionate. He was passionate. He had a relatively simple process that he talked about all the time. Of offense, don't screw it up. Defense will win the ball game. We get a turnover on defense. We get a turnover from special teams. He always talked about the field possession game. Always talked about the turnover, being positive on the turnover ratio. And it was, like I said, it was looking back at it, it was a simple process. And it made a lot of sense, and it won a lot of games.
Absolutely. And Nick Lowery, we're going to go back to you. Just tell us some of your fondest memories of playing under Coach Marty Schottenheimer.
I got to say, first of all, Marty from day one made us a tougher football team. And to see everybody, the way our defense tackled from the very first game, there was a cohesiveness. And he said the same thing to me. He said, Nick, I don't know much about kickers. He said, you make your kicks, you'll be here. You don't make them, you won't be here. And we knew Marty would cry. We knew that he really did care about us, but he was one tough SOB, and he made us all a tougher team. I want to send some praise to Marcus Allen, though, because Marcus was just such a clutch player, and bringing in people like Marcus and Joe, and people that were just leaders on the field and what they did. Marcus would say, and I tell this all the time, Marcus, they'd say, act like you've been there. I would hold up one fist if I made a field goal. I wouldn't jump up and down and throw my knee out, because you're expected to make your kicks. And I love that. I love the standard that just work your ass off, get it done when it matters, shut the you-know-what up, and win games. And then you've got the midnight rule, celebrate for a few hours, and then get ready for the next one. So Marty was the best coach because he had such clarity of what we were supposed to do. And if we did it one day at a time, one brick at a time, we'd win. And I love that even as a kicker, to make me a tougher player and a tougher person. I had my best years with him. And I will say, he would do little things. I'm sure everybody on here, Darnell and Kimble and Marcus would say, and Tony and Steve, the little things that Marty did that made you realize he cared about you. In 92, I was 22 for 24, but I figured I wasn't going to make the Pro Bowl because I didn't have enough points. And Brian Barker and I are out there before practice kicking, and Marty's coming out early, and I'm like, both Brian and I are going, what did we do wrong? Marty walks across this gray field late in the season, walks up to me, and in his poker face expression says, congratulations, kid, you made the Pro Bowl. Just little things like that, little gestures like that, in between demanding that you worked your ass off and did it when it mattered for the team. And that's what I got to say is I never would have known what it was like to be part of a great team with a great coach, with people like Marcus Allen and Kimble Anders and Joe Montana and Tony Richardson. I would never know what that was like with a full stadium after 9 years in Kansas City with a kind of up and down team. So I owe that to Marty. The greatest honor of my life is that my name's next to him on the Chiefs Wall of Fame. And I would never have known that. So God bless Marty Schottenheimer and what we all shared together. And thanks for letting me say that.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add something too, real quickly, guys. And I think you guys remember this. Marty always said he didn't want the best athletes; he wanted the best people.
People, yeah.
Yep.
And that's reflected on who's on this podcast today, guys. You're all great people. You guys worked hard. You guys were on time. You guys stayed extra late if you had to. You guys came in earlier than you had to. And that's the kind of people that Marty wanted on his team and stuff, man. And that's the kind of people that are on this podcast, man. So I admire all you guys, and I appreciate you guys coming on, talking about our coach, man, because he was a special dude.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Marcus, when it came time to make big plays, brother, there was no one better than you. And that's never forgotten.
Well, I'm going to say another thing quickly, guys. You know, when I came to the team, I came from a situation where things, didn't go well. I was not playing as much as I wanted to, and I came there, and all I wanted to do was play. And Marty knew that, and so he created an environment for me. But when I walked into the room, the running back room, guys, Kimble had the talent to do just about anything he wanted to, frankly. And so did Tony, and this is why it was so important to learn all the positions, because he could play fullback, he could play tailback, he could play wing if he wanted to. I mean, these guys were so versatile, and so everybody talks about me, but I was surrounded by some great guys on the offensive line and in the backfield, and obviously we know about the quarterback guys, but Marty created all that. He provided an opportunity for us to put a lot of points on the board and be as physical as any team in the league and be as dominant as any team in the league. And yeah, I do remember the years when Kansas City wasn't playing well, but when I got there in '93, boy, was it a joy to play in Kansas City and to play alongside you guys too. So this is it's fun for me to come on and articulate this. So thank you guys.
Let me just say one last thing, and I'm sorry to talk so much, but Marty attracted great coaches because he made them feel appreciated. Mike McCarthy, Tony Dungy, Bill Cowher, and Bruce Arians, all Super Bowl coaches. I mean, how many coaches made great coaches even better? That's, to me, the ultimate legacy of Marty Schottenheimer.
Good point.
One thing that stands out, guys, that we'll never forget, and it features everybody here in some way or another. Well, definitely you, Marcus, definitely you, Steve Bono. Steve, when it comes down to it, who called the 76-yard bootleg touchdown? Because it doesn't work if the entire Arizona defense doesn't think that Marcus Allen's getting that ball on 3rd and 1. That's the only way that play works. Who called that? I think we lost Steve. So I think we lost Steve. Marcus, who called it? Help us out here. What happened there?
Well, I like to think Marty called it. I like to think it was the perfect call. They were an aggressive team and clearly thought that, in 4th and 1, 99.9% of the time I do get the ball. And it was just a great call. And it was, and then is Steve there? And then
there he is.
We carried out the fake and we laughed. We carried out the fake, one of the longest runs in the history of the NFL from a quarterback. But we said that it took like 2 television timeouts for him to get into the end zone. But it was great though. I mean, the entire stadium was full. It was one of the best calls of all time.
That was, I
I
would
like
agree.
to just say that looking at the
I
screen,
would love to hear
everybody on
this.
here has a touchdown. I just want to make sure I said that.
Vaughn, that includes Vaughn Booker, who does
That's
have
right.
Thank you
one.
very much. Thank you very much.
Hey, Steve, tell us about that 76-yard touchdown run.
We keep losing Steve,
We're having
man.
technical
He's
difficulties
driving.
with
We're
Steve.
in and out.
We want to get to the bottom of it, and we may never.
I thought it was going to be me because I was on the New York streets, but Steve got all that quarterback money, so he should have some great Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on.
Joe Valeria was looking for someone to block, and there was no one there to block. Vaughn,
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I actually caught my first ever touchdown pass from Steve Bono. I made it look very difficult. Like who dives on fire pass right? Nobody but two. Jimmy Ray almost tore both his knees up. He's like, "Why you diving?"
Hey, were you a little nervous on that play, Tony?
Yeah, you think? Because I knew I'd have to hear from Kimble, I'd have to hear from Donnell if I'd have dropped it. So I dove for it. They're like, man, who diving for fire pass right? You got to go in the flat and just catch the ball.
Hey, Kimble was so smooth. I remember, I think it was a screenplay against was it the Jaguars or was that against
took it to the house?
That's the
or was
Jaguars.
that
That's the video we need to find the Jag. It was against the Jaguars.
yeah, you need
I'll work on it. I'll work on it.
it was a
For your
screen
opening
pass
credit.
he took to the house. How many
Why is
yards
Donnell
was
so
that,
quiet? Donnell must got a
Kimble?
muzzle on.
I
Donnell,
thought 70-something or 80 or something like
you
that,
were-
60
yeah.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve, can you hear us?
I
We don't-
can
we
now.
don't-
Hopefully I don't drop you.
Okay, we were just talking about the 76-yard run. Take us through it, man, from your view.
I was just gonna.
Nope.
come on,
He's
Bone.
gone again.
Man. Hey,
Steve.
Jimmy Ray said, I buy you books. All you do is eat the pages.
And all you do is eat the covers, right?
Just eat the pages.
Hey, free lunch costs $1.99, guys.
$1.99 all day long.
Yeah. He was supposed to be on, but I guess he didn't make it.
Marcus, I got to ask you because Marty, he told us, in person when we showed the film to him, he still had his cognizance about him to talk about how much he hated the Raiders. That was such an emphasis. You come over there in '93, man. Was there something unspoken, or did you guys talk about how much you wanted to beat Al Davis and the Raiders in that era?
Well, don't want to disappoint you, man. I really didn't want to play against him, but it was a challenge. Certainly wanted to win. I mean, obviously, but it's like playing your brothers, right? And you never want to embarrass your brothers or beat your brothers. But that was, it was special to Marty for sure, though. And Nick mentioned obviously Marty coming up to him and saying, "Hey, you made the Pro Bowl." But Marty always made it a point to, I think I scored, I don't know, some, record against the Raiders. I don't know if it was my 100th touchdown or something like that. Yeah, I did something against them, and then it was a 10,000 receiving, 10,000 rushing, 5,000 yard receiving. And Marty, I mean, he made it a point to give me the ball against the Raiders. I mean, that was clear. He wanted me to play well, even if I didn't want to or never articulated that. My desire to beat them so badly, I think he knew inside that I did, but he just knew I would never say it. So, but these guys know it was a special week when we played the Raiders. It was a special week. I mean, everything was intensified. The practices were, the energy was. I mean, it was just, he, that was his team that he got up for. I mean, he got up for every team, but that was special to him.
If you couldn't get up for a Raiders week after a Marty speech, something was wrong with you. I mean, he was so passionate in the way that he just delivered his speeches to us to where we had no choice but to go out there and play for each other and play for the city. So
he shed a tear every now and then too. I mean, he was, he was passionate about football, and he cared about it, and he let it show as well. So I mean, we saw the tough side of Marty. We saw the side of Marty that he opened up to us and let us in. And hey, sometimes it was tearful too, because he let it all out, man. He had his emotions on his sleeve too.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you guys about that. Kimble, starting with you, and we can go around the horn. Just one of your favorite moments of Marty's speeches, or a quote or a saying. I know mine is, when you step across the white stripe, the only thing that matters is that 6 inches between your backbone and your breastbone. That's one of my favorites that I've heard of Marty. Kimble, starting with you, do you have one that stands out to you?
Well, it was always, for me, it was one play at a time. I mean, that was one of the biggest speeches he always said. And, you know, fortunate, unfortunate, sometimes you be in the front and you get spit on a lot. So I just remember that. I just remember that all the time. And I mean, it really, like, honestly, it made you feel so empowered during the course of a game that you felt, I mean, he felt his energy. Yeah. And every time he said it, no matter how many times he said, even with the gleam, one of his big words too, I do like the gleam. We just say, right. Yeah. Think about the gleam. So that was one of my top 2 things right there. When he say that, I'm ready to play some football. And we're going out there with that type of spirit as well. When those things happen during the course of getting ready to play, it made you just get so high that you really want to go out there and just do what you need to do to win the game. So
I'm gonna say the next one because I got to get off so I can head back home. But
absolutely,
this is a funny one because we do have to have some funny stories as well. And Donnell will remember this, and Kimble will remember as well. And Marty was fired up about something. I can't remember what it was. And he forgot that door was locked. And he almost broke his shoulder. He was like, let's go. Boom! And he hit his shoulder on the door. That right there was probably one of the funniest stories. That's what it was. Raider week, Marty would literally be spitting fire, ready to roll. And
that's right.
Yeah, I've never had a coach that got me more fired up than Marty. For goal line, for anything. It was real work.
Yeah, I would
Vaughn,
say that,
we'll go to you next. Yeah.
I would just say that just the way, like I said before, the way he brought us all together, those 2 little words, 2 little letters rather, W-E, we, the other 2 little letters, U-S, us. I think that just reminded me what kind of man he was and what kind of family he was trying to build between us men, coming from all walks of life, all areas of life. And he was able to bring us together on one accord just because of the kind of man that he was. He was able to project himself into us and made us go out there and project it on the field and out in the real world. So that's what I would take away from Marty.
Well said, Vaughn.
Thank you.
Marcus?
Well, I just, and I think these guys can attest to that. I didn't think, when I reflect back, guys, I don't think that we ever felt we were ever out of a game.
Right.
With his leadership, he never blinked. I remember the '83 season, guys. We came back and beat the Steelers in the last second. I mean, we just knew we were going to win the game, and that was because of leadership. We never looked over at Marty, and there was never any panic, never. Yeah, and that was always good. And so, then you take that to, initially we had Joe in there, seriously, same thing, never any panic and stuff. And so when you got a head coach and you got a quarterback that showed no panic, and we just felt like, hey guys, just keep chipping away, we're going to get it done. And that's the leadership that Marty had, and that's the confidence that he had in us and we had in him.
Did you guys have any, I'm sure you did, positive dealings with Pat Schottenheimer, his wife? I think Pat, we got to meet her when we presented the film, just an absolutely wonderful lady. You could tell that Pat really was the one that kept kind of Marty in line. She's just this saint of a lady. Did you guys have good run-ins with Pat over the years?
Certainly had great conversations with Pat. Obviously, just a wonderful relationship, husband and wife. And, she is just as much as part of what we're able to accomplish as Marty and stuff, because, without her support, Marty obviously wouldn't have been the coach that he was able to be and stuff. And so, I mean, a lot of times we forget about our, either the wife, or the family support that we have and stuff like that. And because no man's an island, we don't get there by ourselves and stuff like that. And so we have people in our lives, and most often for coaches, it's a supporting wife that allows these guys to do the job that they do, because it's such a demanding job, guys, and it takes a lot of time. Guys stay in the office all night long trying to prepare game plans and trying to get that little extra something that gets their team over the top and stuff like that. So yeah, hats off to Pat. She was awesome. Just a wonderful lady.
Yeah, definitely. I can remember just my wife just telling me how they took care of all the wives when we had away games. You know, she was just an extension of Marty, whether he was in town or not. They both together were a beautiful couple. Again, I always bring it back to the way he made me feel like I was family and we were family, and that extended to our wives and our children as we were away playing games, away.
Well, that was really that was the entire Chief organization, though. That was a special place. I've enjoyed my 5 years there, guys. There are people that always try to get me to say, "Come on, which team do you choose?" Right? Choose one over the other, and I go, I embrace all my 16 years, dude. I'm never going to let anybody tell me to choose the Raiders over Kansas City, and I'm never going to let somebody tell me to choose the Kansas City Chiefs over the Raiders. I love both, and I leave it like that.
Wow,
So if somebody was to ask me, I say the Chiefs first and foremost. I mean, they were my first team. They were the team that I played for the longest. Like my boy Marcus said, I've loved all 9 years of my career, but my first four were with the Chiefs, and I'll always be a Chief.
Yeah, come on, Marcus. The Raiders are in Las Vegas now, and water under the bridge.
I won't let you do it either, dude. Hey, listen, I played 16 years, and I enjoyed every single one. But especially, the Chiefs were important to me because at a time in my career, right, when I wasn't playing and stuff, and they tried to tell everybody that I was over the hill, and I knew different. The Kansas City Chiefs embraced me, and I felt right at home immediately, and it was one of the greatest places I've ever played. So. I mean, it was amazing. So I'm never going to let anybody take that from me.
Well, we asked Kimble and Donnell this last week, but I've got to ask Vaughn, you, Marcus, you. Do you guys miss River Falls, Wisconsin at all? Do you guys want to get back up there, do some two-a-days?
Hell no.
Hell no. Not at all.
Well, I wouldn't mind it if, I guess, with today's schedule, right? I mean, guys, they only practice once a day, right, guys?
Right. Yeah.
Or they only hit how many times? 11 times.
Once or twice a week. Yeah. Once or twice a week.
Dude, we were practicing. We had 2 days, and we were going at it.
We went 21 straight days.
Remember that?
21 straight days.
It was a different game, dude. It was a different game, guys. So
that's another thing I took from Marty. Marty, for me, he made practice harder than the games.
Yeah.
So when we got in the games, we were able to fly around. We knew what we were doing. We can play fast, and that's just how I remember Marty. He made, especially for defense, practice was really hard. So when we got in the game, we were just out there pinning our ears back, having fun.
There you go.
Guys, we got a question we got to get in from our Facebook page here to the running backs, because it's about Harvey Williams, who for a brief time actually was the starting running back ahead of Marcus in 1993. It's after a loss to the Miami Dolphins on Halloween, which I recall, actually. I was 10 years old and I did not even want to go trick-or-treating after this game, guys. What was the kind of precipitous of Marty kind of giving up on Harvey? Because he was gone immediately after that. And then Donnell Bennett, who's sadly not here with us today, was drafted, as was Greg Hill. So something obviously didn't go right there with Harvey.
That coach's decision. I mean, we don't,
can't speak
know all the details and stuff. But let me say this: you mentioned, and Kimble. And this is why I admire guys, and Vaughn as well. We're not the only sport, guys, but every year they're actually trying to bring somebody in to replace us.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And it's up to us, though, if we're good teammates, man, to coach that player up as much as possible, because Kimble never wanted to be the guy that did not teach Tony everything he needed, to know, in case he had to play. And I know if we didn't give him that information, and for God forbid some reason we needed Tony and he wasn't able to play effectively as he's capable of playing, we didn't have those kind of guys. We had guys. I mean, every year. I mean, whether it was Greg Hill, whether it was Harvey or somebody else at the tailback position, dude, I try to give them all the information I possibly can for them to start. And then it was up to us to compete and stuff like that. But we never held back. I think we were good teammates, and I think today that's why. And Kimble today, that's why we love each other. That room we were tight. We used to have some fun, but we talked to each other. We encouraged each other. We tried to give each other as much information as possible. But as far as who comes and goes and stuff, I mean, those are coaches' decisions, and we don't, we try not to get involved in those.
Well, Marcus, you talked about giving the other backs information. I noticed when you would hit the hole and fall to the ground, you'd always try and place the ball over your head, get a little bit of a better spot there. Is that something? Do you think you ever got the better spot? And we never saw any of the other
a lot of
backs
times,
make that
yeah.
effort.
I mean, replay killed a lot of things for me because I used to get. I used to push the rules a little bit. You know what I mean? So falling forward was just not really something that I, was told to do. It was just something that I did, and when you look at a talent like Kimble and stuff, and I'm sure if you were to ask him what was he thinking on that play, that he made it, an incredible play, the honest answer, I think, would be, I don't know. He just let his skill take place. And a lot of times I don't know what I was doing. We come back in the film room on Monday and say, how did you do that? And, how did you squeeze through that little hole? And I was going like, well, I don't know. I just did, And then I tell him I was born the year of the rat. So that's
that explains it.
Yeah.
Well, we finally got to the bottom of it.
And we finally have Steve Bono. Not only does he appear to have a Wi-Fi connection, but he's in landscape mode. So, Steve, glad you were able to get in. We are at the tail end, but we want to make sure that we get to you here. Hey, it's all good, man. We were talking about the 76-yard run and kind of how that play came about, and then kind of any stories, anything you have about Marty that you want to throw in. You played for the Chiefs for 3 years, and you were integral part of it. Even in '94, when Joe had to miss some games, you were in there having to take over or take the load. So take it from there, Steve. We want to hear from you, buddy.
So it'll be a little bit random. So regarding Pat, I was going to say that Marty referred to as Big Pat. So that just tells you how much clout she had and who was in charge. Regarding the 76-yard run, I would love to hear what some of you guys had to say about it, just because obviously I've told the story 1,000 times, and the gist of it always was that it was end of the first quarter. I went to the sideline, and I'll step back a step and say it always worked. It worked every time we ran it in practice. So when it worked in practice, we knew it was going to be pretty good. It was obviously a very specific game plan. But when I went to the sideline at the end of the first quarter, and Marty looked at me and was like, had the shit-eating grin on his face and was like, why not? And so I think what happened, this is how I felt. When I went to the huddle, I obviously had the same look on my face, got in the huddle. And if I remember correctly, I didn't even call the play. We just broke the huddle, went to the line of scrimmage. We knew it was going to work. We didn't know it was going to look that good, but we knew it was going to work.
It was the thing of beauty. It really was.
Yeah.
Because I went through the pile. I think I dove over, and I'm laying down. I'm just looking. There's Steve running. I said, go.
Joe Valerio is running downfield looking for anyone to block, right?
Come on.
Yeah. He's running back.
No, Joe wasn't looking for anybody to block. He's looking for the camera. He always did that.
I think he wanted Steve to pitch him the ball so he could score another touchdown.
Actually, that would have been good. That would have been good. Yeah.
With
you're in the record books, Dan.
Yeah, the key thing to that play too, like when we practice those plays, when they work, they're gonna work because it works in practice, and that was the beauty about what we was doing with the offense. Yeah. Everything they said that was gonna work, the way it worked. Yeah. So, and that's why we had.
And you remember Joe Valerio, he was out there to block Terry Hogue, and you remember when we were going to the line of scrimmage, Terry runs off the field and they bring in the fifth linebacker. We knew we had it then. There was no question.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, they were all in. They were going to stop the short yardage play. They had no idea.
Well, Marcus doesn't get negative yards anyway.
Run the ball prior to that?
I'm sorry.
How many times did you run the ball prior to that?
We had a fair number of bootlegs for touchdowns that year.
We had 3 or 4. Right? three or four TDs that year on
It
bootlegs?
was-
Yeah, they're
it was-
mostly down by the goal
thanks,
line, though,
Mark,
but not out in the
thanks
middle.
to you, I had a bunch of bootleg touchdowns. You
Yeah.
and Kimble.
Say down by the goal line.
Yeah, no, they're
Exactly.
usually down by the goal
Yeah,
line,
right.
but not in the middle of the field or their side of the ball. Actually, their
Here,
territory.
I'm gonna actually. Somebody just sent these to me to sign, and I'm going to show you why. This is why it was good right here. That's why it was good right there.
Wow.
Wow, I think that's Marcus's 100th touchdown right there. Actually, that's awesome.
It might be.
We had a question for you, Vaughn, real quick here, buddy, because we talked about you're an exclusive company. Everyone here scored a touchdown except Noah and I, unless you count Pop Warner. But Booker, when you ran your fumble recovery back for a TD, did you feel like you could be the next refrigerator Perry of the NFL at the goal line after you got your defensive TD against the Broncos in December of '95?
Hey, I was just happy after that touchdown that I was in great company as far as our defense went, because our defense scored a lot of touchdowns that year. We actually had a corner called Hallelujah Corner. I didn't actually score in that corner, but I did get me one. I think I could have ran a couple of those Joe Valerio plays. I could have been in the backfield blocking for Marcus. That I never saw that coming, but it was a great, exciting play for me. The only thing I wish I could do over, I wish I would have never jumped in the stands, because that pole went into my stomach, and then Mark Collins and everybody jumped on my back, so I couldn't even breathe. My main thing was to get off that damn pole and get to the sideline.
Well, as long as Jerry Ball isn't in the middle of a defense, we could probably have got you over the top there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It wasn't Lambeau Field, right? It wasn't built for jumping.
No.
Stands, was it?
Lambeau don't have a pole. Arrowhead has a pole right there.
Yeah.
I almost broke my ribs.
Well, guys, before we cut you loose here, I just, kind of want to go around and talk about your favorite memories of just, obviously it hurts that there wasn't a championship won. Marty Schottenheimer, guys, is the 8th all-time winningest coach in NFL history. We all believe that he should be joining Marcus Allen in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and we hope that happens someday. I mean, you guys all feel like, Marty is a future Hall of Famer, and just kind of that is a stick in your craw, not getting that Super Bowl win, even though there were so many wonderful memories here, and the city came alive like never before, like Shane Williams just said on our feed here. Favorite memory of Chiefs Kingdom history, the 90s. So it affected a lot of people, guys.
Well, for me, guys, it was actually a game we lost in '93 to the Buffalo Bills, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I remember flying home, and then we landed in Kansas City, and everybody jumped in their cars. I don't know if you guys remember this. Remember, as we were exiting the airport, it had to be like maybe, I don't know, midnight or something like that when we got in. And they had Chief fans lined up on both sides of the road. And I was just blown away by that, man, because obviously, they were, instead of being disappointed and staying at home, and they appreciated our effort that year in '93 and what we did. And, but me driving, I just kind of savored the drive, man, and looked both ways. And, it was kind of cold, but I stuck my, rolled down the window and was waving at the people, before I hit the 435 and stuff, guys. But it was, that was really special. I mean, there were so many great moments, but in defeat, I think sometimes you find out what your fan base is really made of. You know what I mean? Or, everybody is excited when you win, but how many people are going to support you and show the love after a defeat? And that game for me was like, when I got home and jumped in the car and was exiting the airport, it was like, that was a beautiful thing, man. I said, Kansas City fans are awesome. They're awesome.
Well, I think.
would say, go ahead.
For me, it was the Indianapolis Colts game. If I'm not mistaken, we were 7. We were undefeated at home that year, and they come in, I think, a 9-7 record, and they had obviously had a great team, and we just didn't show up. It just didn't go our way, and that was kind of really disheartening to be in a position not to be able to go to next round of playoffs and continue on with our season and winning a game at home. We felt we had, pretty much participated at home and won, 8 straight games. So And they came in and beat us in a tough loss, and it was really tough on me on that. That was probably my biggest one.
Yeah, because the Steelers are next. We always beat the Steelers.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
We would have beat them at home, man. It would have been awesome.
9-17.
Then we would have been in the Super Bowl against the Cowboys.
We had played 2 home games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys had already played the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Already seen what they could do. You guys hung it. You know, it was a very tightly contested game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, in that 95 game, we talked to James Hasty a little bit about, and he said he was in the equipment room with Derek Thomas and another player, just balling like babies is the words that he used after that game. So
I didn't leave the locker room, guys, until, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't leave that locker room until, maybe an hour after everyone else did. I stayed in the locker room for a long time. I was so disappointed. I was actually crushed. And as I said before, when I was driving home, I thought it was the rapture occurred, and I thought I got left behind because there was nobody in the plaza. Absolutely, positively, indubitably, nobody in the plaza.
Yeah.
And so, which was strange. Normally after a game, it's still, a lot of people are out, and I would go to Houston's to get some chicken tenders after every game before I went home and stuff, and there was nobody there either. It was an eerie feeling, but I understood that obviously the fans were so disappointed because they knew we had a team to go to the Super Bowl, and it didn't work out that year.
Yeah,
I can't say that's my favorite memory. I can say that's my biggest regret. Wish that I could do it over with a different mindset. I've told some other people this in Kansas City, but can't have it back, unfortunately. But I'm thankful to have played for a great organization, a great owner, a great coach, with a lot of great players on a few really good teams in front of probably the most fanatical fans in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Steve, you were the 1995 AFC Offensive Player of the Year that year. A lot of people don't remember that, but that you were. And if there is going to be, I think I'm going to open it in 2022, the Cadence Hall of Fame. You are going to be the first inductee, my friend.
A lot of offsides, man.
Well, I had those accolades, like I said, because I played with a lot of really good players, a lot of great guys.
So, guys, Marty Schottenheimer, Pro Football Hall of Fame. We all agree there. I mean, 8th all-time in wins.
No question.
Yeah.
We got to make it happen.
Hey guys, one more thing. I think I love our plane rides, man. I loved our plane rides too.
Oh yeah,
going away, and we had all the younger players would bring us barbecue and stuff, man. I think we were a close team. I think that's one of the keys that we haven't really talked about, guys. We talked about a love for Marty, and that was really important. But he created an environment for us to be a very close team, and we loved each other. And when you love each other, man, you fight for each other, man. And I think that's the reason that we played so well. And then we felt the love of the fans, and we loved our coaches. I mean, it was just, we loved our owners. It was just, there was so much togetherness on the team that, that's what really made it special, man. I think when I look back and reflect on my days in Kansas City, man, it was just a great experience all around. Even in defeat, guys, you never want that. It was, something I'll never forget.
One just quick memory before we let you guys go here. We talked about the 1994 season with Kimble and Donnell last week. We still have it in here. I want to show this clip. It's short. We're going to get to the October 17th, 1994 Monday Night Football game, kind of that last drive there. Joe Montana, Marty Schottenheimer get John Elway and the Denver Broncos snide off of them. They come away with the victory. So we're going to go to this real quick. Just what kind of an electric atmosphere was that there in Mile High Stadium? You see the camera shaking, the building was shaking. Just what are your memories of that, Kimble? We'll start with you with that sweet juke on Ronnie Bradford to get out of bounds and stop the clock.
Oh, like I told you last week, that was probably the most exciting game of my life. The way first of all, we didn't get first time winning in Denver, so that was a big surprise. And as well, just the way it ended, it was just unbelievable. And that's something that you can put down in history that you always see for a long time. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they had that rated #1 Monday Night Football game in history. Absolutely. So it's great to see that you're part of history.
Yeah, Yeah, that was my rookie year. Even though I was an older guy coming from Canada, it was just exciting to be on the team and be playing on Monday Night Football, and especially during a game where we've never won in Denver. So to be a part of that was just very special for me.
I knew we were going to win.
There we go.
No, dude. I mean, you never doubted, dude. I mean, that's
Nope.
when you're surrounded, those kind of players, and again with that I never say die attitude. I mean, I knew we were going to win the game. And if you look at that last drive, there wasn't a player on our side of the ball that blinked.
No.
I mean, we had, we played with intention. We knew we were going to win the game. I mean, if you look at Kimble's move, playing not only, showing the athleticism, but showing his intelligence, getting out of bounds ASAP. What was the tight his name? Tracy?
Tracy Green.
Tracy Green.
Tracy,
From
yeah.
Tater
Grambling.
tot.
That
Call
was a
him
tough
Tater
catch
tot.
for him, man, but he made it play. Younger player, too. And then obviously Willie
Davis.
Willie Davis.
with the grab on the outside, actually coming back out of the end zone and then getting back in. But it was a beautiful throw by Joe. I mean,
Yeah.
he threw it.
Yeah.
The only play, nobody else could get it. You know what I mean? And he's been there like a gazillion times. So again, when you look at his face, and you saw I think the sideline shot of Marty, he didn't show any any concern at all. And then Joe was just, it was just a beautiful thing to see, man. It was just great to be part of, it really was.
And Noah, I don't know, did you cut out Marcus's highlights from that final drive? Because I know he touched the ball like 3 or 4 times there.
He absolutely did. This was last week. We cut it up for Kimble Anders to make him look good.
Okay.
Great play, getting out of bounds.
Listen there, I gladly step aside to make my man look good, because you know what? Hey, he took care of me. Kimble took care of me. Let me tell you, the most underrated position in football, one of the toughest in football, is the fullback position. And obviously, we don't see him as much today, but he's one of the best that I think that ever played the game.
Wow.
Appreciate that, Cody. Appreciate that.
Oh,
Well,
you
guys-
know, that's true. I'm not just saying that. I'm just
That's
words.
absolutely
You had
true.
skill to play. You had skill to play tailback. You know that.
And he did later in his career. He was the
Yes.
feature back here, and we're going to get to that, Kimble, with you on future episodes, man. But guys, cannot thank each and every one of you for being here. Vaughn Booker, Kimble, every week we've enjoyed doing this with you and Donnell, and I wish he could have been here. And Marcus, it's extra special, man. I remember as a kid going to Metro North Mall for an autograph signing, and man, it was 2 degrees outside, and you signed autographs in that mall for 5 or 6 hours, and it just showed you the fervor that was here when you were here and for the team. And it's a memory I'll never forget. So this is really cool to have you in here. And thank you guys.
I appreciate that. I'm just glad you didn't say you fell off your big wheel or anything like that. That's
wow. That was like 5 years earlier. Guys, this was so great. Thank you so much. We'll miss Marty. The life and legacy lives on through his wife, Pat, through his sons and his daughter, Kristen. Guys, this has been an honor. We appreciate it, and we'll have to do it again sometime soon. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mark.
Hey, Vaughn,
All right,
great
fellas.
seeing you, man. I haven't seen you in a
You
while.
too, guys.
I always talk to Kimble, but great seeing you, brother.
I'll be there November 1st for alumni weekend.
I'll be here too.
Okay.
All right, guys. Y'all take
See
care.
you guys.
All right, guys.
Take care. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Take care, boys. See you, Kimble.
Thank-
All right, Cody.
All right, man. Anytime.